Oh! He's catching a bunch, just can't hook him.
Oh my lord. Oh!
My face.
Oh! I saw that.
My face.
Me, and it's like, goddamn, person, like one of the first people I used to watch doing comedy, because I remember Dio, he was from the Fresh Prince, so it's now detaching himself away from me, and even went on his radio show and acting like he didn't know me. When I was in Philly, he asked me to come on the road with him. Right.
God damn it. Yeah, on the fucking unit too. That's why we tie a bunch, folks. On the fucking unit. That was a nice fish. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take the air conditioner noise out. I mean, I probably will be able to, but... Well, how much fun is that? How much fun can we have? What do we have for you today? We have... address, sender address, Riverside. Subject, ref, space, dot, order for fishing flies. All caps. Dear Sir / space, Madam, we would like to inform you that we are Fly Tires and we are requesting your orders for fishing flies. We have experienced tires, tears. We have experienced tires. We tie all type for fishing flies like wets, nymphs, streamers, dries, special dries, salmon, pike, saltwater, bus bags, A period T period C. New paragraph. Please, if you are interested, we are desirous to have a great business relationship with you. Period, new line, not new paragraph, no capitalization here. And we will send you our picture files, samples, and our good piece list. Period. So now we are here waiting for your good news reply from you. Period. All the best, yours, best regards. I think bus bags is my favorite. Again, I'm not knocking the hustle, right? If they're making a good living, I personally tie all my flies. Maybe it's a control issue that I've discussed at length. It's certainly a creativity thing. I mean, I didn't guide. The first thing that really took me in fly fishing was tying. Fishing took off from there. Guiding took off from there. For me, it started with tying. So this, in particular, is not of interest to me. But I bet I've had discussions with a friend of mine that, like, you take any type of productivity and any production line and you standardize it, and you have people who this isn't like a fun. They're not doing it creatively. They're doing it to put food on the table. I mean, literally. I assume this feels presumptuous and or third worldist. A lot of these tires are from Kenya. There was some. That's not. I'm not doing whatever you think I'm. Wow. It's like the more they build, sometimes the bigger they are. I'm not being. I can't even call it racist. I'm not making assumptions here. I received multiple other emails that were not as good as this, but from tires in Kenya. So yeah, like I'm not knocking it. It's just that product isn't for me. But gosh, are these emails for me? Please, if you are interested, we are desirous to have a great business relationship with you, period. New line. And we will send you our picture files, samples, and our good piece list, period. So now, we are here waiting for your good news reply from you. All the best. Yours. Best regards. I mean, I also kind of like the tone. We would like to inform you that we are Fly Tires and we are requesting your orders. Alright? So listen here. We are Fly Tires and you need to send us. I kind of appreciate the. There's also just I kind of gloss over this, but the shorthand or the reference to wets that is kind of funny to me. I don't know why. I think that's somewhat. We're tying the pounder of trout. Just picking up hair and random hooks. Now this is the Arex Stinger Universal Stinger. Is that's it? Well, everything's ruined now. Damn, bro. Now I think we're absolutely cooking. We're a little sweaty. It's a little cooler. I am wearing a t-shirt. Any other big news? Pounder of trout. I'm not sure what happened there with any of that introduction, but we're going to tie a fishing fly. Now, I have noticed that this fly is eaten by fish. Smallmouth. Trout. Right? I was thinking of, well, yeah, I've noticed I like to use like the stubby little. I'll show you when we do the body material. It's basically chickaboo, but I don't have a lot of that handy, so, or any. I don't want to make a huge tail for different reasons. Oh man, I turned that AC off for the sake of sound, and we are cooking in a different way here. Is it worth it? Just have Missy Elliott going at that point. Is it worth it? Yeah, I'm not sure it is. It is effing hot. Which is okay, except for the fact that it's uncomfortable. So, we'll see if the old post-production, what have you, you know, and all that. How's your mama and them? I'm cutting off Flash. Jeez, be patient. Just barking at me the whole time. I didn't even finish on ripping on that one dude from the Eastern Bloc. Presumably the Eastern Bloc. Mostly because of it was so fascinating to me. This was, I don't know, a year or two ago, and I don't know, I obviously like a big channel at this point, but this was, dude, I'm just putting out stuff to like, I think I'm recording with my cell phone, which I guess can probably be done well. Now, with natural colors, I like to give us something to see in the water. So a little bit of flash on top. As mentioned before, most of these are belly shots, and they're seeing, they're hitting it from profile. Profile-based predatory attack. Profile-based predatory kill shots. I'm making shit up. God, it's a shame to use this for anything but a tail, but I don't like that it's kind of missing that, and I do like the schloppany, the features. This is a whiting rooster saddle. Oh, we're off on the tangents. Including, but not limited to, the chickaboo from these things. You can get these little, like that's a dirty little tail feather right there. That's tan. I'm just gonna mix it up. I'm gonna do sort of tan body. Oh, I wanna get some. What did I want to do? Some UV tan I am out of UV squirrel. So we'll do some of this like UV orangey stuff and some UV calabatus. Before I do that, I'm all over the place, and that's fine. We're okay with that. I'm going to tie in some wire, and we're just going to do a counter rib with the hackle since I already tied it in. Now, you can follow the Kelly Gallup order of operations. I don't know why I pivot so much. It's not like I like one or the other. I tie tip in. Oh, GSP cutting through wire. I tie tip in and then wrap forward when I'm doing complex twists, which I could have done right there since I am doing a dubbing loop. And you can do a complex twist with something other than chenille. You can do it with the dubbing loop. In fact, you know, since that chenille is thicker, the fibers on the chenille, like, that stuff is thicker than this stuff. Not necessarily a bad thing to use that ice dub. And what I mean, it's rippleized. It's just like the shorter, crumplier version of the longer, less crumplier ripple ice that you can sort of use to layer bucktail and craft fur. And it doesn't add, like, doing a bunch of wraps of that chenille, you're adding, I mean, it comes on a rope, so that soaks up water. Alright, the air conditioning is working. So we're gonna do one wrap with the tail, or one wrap with the flopping, and then I'm just grabbing this wire and camera 2, back to camera 1, and wrapping forward. As we all know, a cat can be skinned in a bunch of different ways. So that's just a way to incorporate the stability of that wire, and my GSP is sliding off. Without needing to go in front and do a bunch of shit. Where were we? Oh, yes. We were tying a quality fishing fly. Alright, so here we have a woolly bugger. Why don't we call it a woolly bugger? Well, I don't know. I'm guessing egos. I had named this fly. Really, I named a YouTube video. The Pounder of Trout. Sure do have a lot of those like 3-minute dead time clips. Where just I start and then I'm looking at the contrast of the they never eat muskie. Which, interestingly, maybe it was Aaron Root, pointed out to me that it doesn't have a mouth. So, I don't know if that was intentional. Dave, this is from the Roof Rod Company. Rubber legs. The first things to go when I fly, for whatever reason, maybe because this is 5 minutes after the last piece of footage was filmed. It's the next day. And it's quiet. Maybe because it's the morning, I'm actually talking about fishing. I haven't had an entire day to let thoughts get into my brain and then out of my mouth and into your ears. But we're getting there. It doesn't take much. But yeah, the first thing to go when I'm out fishing, and when I say fishing, there's not much of a difference. You know, I think angler skill specific. Like if we can't cast, then we're gonna be working on casting. But at some point, you gotta, as a guide, you have to make a judgment call on. We're gonna call. I was gonna put some craft for. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little wing. So this is the. I'll finish that thought. You have to make a call on how much are we gonna try to learn today. What amount of juice is there, which can be very much condition specific. How much time do we have left? What's the water looking like? What are the skies looking like? What's the angler picking up on, not picking up on? You know, where it's just like, I've had some people that just want to learn all day. One, in fact, where I'm begging him to leave the fly in the water because he was casting and retrieving well, and he just wanted to continue working on casting. And I was like, dude, you're in the danger zone of both me having a mental breakdown because it's February and there's 2-foot trout squirreling around next to your fly, like just 1.5 seconds, maybe one, probably less than one is sort of crazy, seconds away from eating it. Just leave it in there for 3 seconds. And he's like, yeah, no, I hear you. I was like, dude, you really don't want to catch a fish. He's like, he just didn't fish. This is the guy I went to college with. I'm sure I've told this before, but that's like a super. He wanted to become good at casting flies and casting big streamers in particular. So one day in, I mean, that's the test case right there. If you want to get good at streamer fishing or casting big flies, don't want to catch fish. Do want to focus on casting one day. Never touch the fly rod. I do read the room. I'm not gonna say I'm like a master or coach or guide or interpreter of humans, but I've, you know, I was in the corporate world for a while. I had to understand how to speak different languages in the sense of, is this person full of, how full of shit is this person, and how full of shit do I need to be in order to, like, do I need to talk about doing thought exercises, or are we putting our skis in front of our tips? Are we building airplanes while we're flying them? So, I get to use some of that out here. But yeah, I was pretty hard on him just because the task at hand was to become good at fishing. And for him, becoming better at casting flies was fun. And getting better can be difficult, and it requires, God, an unfortunate, sometimes it felt like, amount of feedback from me, because, man, sometimes I just want to hang out. And halfway during the day, I was like, dude, we went from an upper section of the river to a lower section of the river. This is just a little wing. I think a big, hold that thought, a big deal or something in mind with using this material is that I got it from a craft store and wanted to use it. Is that it blocks light. It's opaque. It is a solid mass moving through the water when it's wet, as opposed to hackle. We're going to change that. Give me that. As opposed to hackle, which is, it breathes and moves, and that's all great. But not all the time. And, this also absorbs water, so it gets heavy. And in getting heavy, there's pros and cons, right? It can feel a little wet socky. I'm not going to care too much about it. This is a guide fly. I don't care about as long as everything's clean. Now, there are moments, there are times, there are days, headspaces where this is going to stop my brain from functioning until it gets clean, but not right now. So yeah, I had to be like, dude, I'm not sure I can do this for another 4 hours. But like being as hard, because it's just this constant feedback of, am I doing it correctly? What can I be doing better? 2 or 3 casts in, he knows he's not fishing necessarily. He doesn't fish. He didn't know what a strip line off the reel. He's like, yeah, strip, line, reel, and then in context, off. The only word that really made sense was the. That's not a joke. And so it's like, okay, we need to go through what stripping off means, and how that, what line is, the reel. Never mind putting it in the right place where it needs to be when you're on a moving boat, all that stuff. So is this just constant feedback, and it's exhausting because you're in moving water. There's so many things that happen, especially when you're attempting to make these little tweaks to. It could be presentation. It could be spot selection. It could be how the line is delivered, where it's sitting in the water. As you're moving. This is my line. Bank boat. Is it here? Are we doing this? Is it here? Are we putting a bow in the line? What type of fly is it? For any guide or rower of boat, there's a difference that says, dude, let's fish a nymph rig with a bobber that has a hook on it, aka a dry dropper. No shade, no shade thrown there. It's because not catching fit, not having this tangible thing, right? You have a fish picture and say, I am. I know where big fish are, and like, if that's the description of your job, great. God, there are some days where just absolutely ruining 30 stocked fish, or just going right below a dam and having someone watch a bobber with zero casting mechanics involved and just netting 30 fish and then taking out, barely even rowing. It's not really after the days, it's during the days when I'm like, dude, I'm good at tying nymphs, man. I did that in spring creeks and fished that way myself. I've done it a lot here just to have that skill set. It bores me to tears, and it also bores other people to tears. But there are some days where that just sounds nice. But then, I row into a flat where I know it's just been absolutely pounded. I mean, I've seen the boats. It's most of the one river is muddy, the other river is not pushing water, so no one's floating on it. And there's this one section of the Watauga that is very heavily, it had just been heavily stocked, and we got some bone dry in the eye. And you can look down and see stocked rainbows just swimming. It's a fucking aquarium. And I roll over it with some dudes. We've been fishing pretty hard for a couple hours. It's March. It's windy. If anyone recalls, I was having a variety of existential crises, pushing through the wind and thinking, somebody kill me, please. Laughing to myself, thinking, this is it. This is people say that, doctors say that you lose, when you start to lose your hearing, if you don't get hearing aids, that's the beginning of the end. That's when dementia can be fast forwarded, exacerbated, whatever, because you start living in a different world. And I'm like, different means to the same end, I guess is what I'm saying. I kind of like on the articulation point, take this wire back. I typically do it the other way, but basically have it that third piece. That's a recent thing that I don't have any data on whether or not this affects fouling up, but I also do like to put in what amount to sort of like a figure eight here, just to get that connection point here less floppy while retaining flop back here. And this is exciting. Shot. New super glue. Out here hitting like Mark McGuire. I think I've used that before. Hitting like a drunk stepdad feels offensive to some. And as I'll discuss, I don't know who I want to offend. I don't want to offend anyone. You know what I'm saying. I mean, if I'm going to alienate people on the internet who have divorced parents, one of which may or may not have married or remarried an alcoholic, I think I'm whittling away at a significant portion of the population. Okay, so 10 or 15 minutes on the articulation. And we're going to go connection cover. Is today the day I get my girlfriend to... It's a secret. It's a secret. She's fishy. I'm trying to get her involved. You know, as I'm putting this marabou on, I'm thinking, well, am I just going to use... No, I'm not just going to use craft fur. We're going to do a little bit of marabou, and then the wing... I'm going to do a wing from the head back to... No. Oh, yeah. So I was talking about... We're going to do UV chenille. I was talking about... the opacity. Trigger warning. Having stuff higher in the water column makes it closer to a source of light, the sun. And in off color or low light situations, the same thing. Having something closer to a light source relative to the lower light area, which would be either further down in off color water, I don't think that's exponentially less light. Yeah, it is. That's a square function. Yeah, that's right. So, all I'm saying is something that blocks light, I believe. There is color difference, I don't know. I mean, this thing I fish in tan, or whatever this... I got this... Oh, God. That was about to go on my leg. And so begins ruining this bottle of super glue. I got this craft fur. This is from Hobby Lobby. Two-tone faux fur, maybe? But it's kind of like for you fly tires out there, which I presume is all 50-something thousand of you. This is like a craft fur polar fiber. The max, I got it for tying it. I wanted to tie a crafty changer that kind of looked dead carpy. And it's too heavy when I'm tying in more than just a little bit of it. Somebody kill me. We're going to do a complex twist up front, which I can afford. I do this fly a lot in like pretty sparse, not like a stout body. I guess the way I think of that is, I should put eyes on, is like using strung fuzzy fiber or bucktail would create a body. It creates that bulk that people talk about, and it doesn't have much casting weight. It doesn't absorb a lot of water. Now this one, I need one of those. I should use one of these little straw things. This one, I don't mind the casting weight. I start to incorporate strung fuzzy in the dubbing loop. But then, you know, I also start to, at that point, increase complexity of tying and I don't know, man. There's so many different variables that at some point it's just like, can you just call this a double or a baby gonga or whatever and shut up? It's a tan gonga with some other shit on it. And so, do I need to make it special? No. Does it need to be like my thing? No. Do I sometimes like to tie with strung fuzz? Yeah. Yeah, that's... Oh, we are... The precision and the accuracy are both full speed. TBD on whether or not those eyes pop off. And I don't need to go back here. Alright, once you're tied in, man, this thing is closing in. So, complex loops, complex twist. And again, you can do this with iStub. Shit, you can do it with anything. You just hold the end of the feather, and you could reasonably do this with a tool like hackle pliers. I'm going to cut this off so I don't wind everything up. Meow. Look at that. Take your custom, this is actually a custom sort of two, it's like a custom squared, where I had the other one and then I was like, oh, I want something with these custom functions. Insider tip, the custom one is just this, but I cut the bristles with scissors. It's like $1 at Ace Hardware. Now, fingers taste like super glue. That's how you know that it's working. Any more tension on this? I have found myself, it's not that I've stopped thinking about certain fundamentals of fly tying, but I've certainly stopped talking about it. It is important to do certain things, and these are touching wraps. So when you're first learning how to tie, I read a few different books. I'll repeat that in case you didn't hear it. I read a few different books. I read. And, you know, the fundamentals of fly tying type stuff. So thread tension, I'm sure you've seen me just like randomly spinning this shit and putting in more than one whip where I needed to. But tying with GSP, it doesn't stretch, it doesn't have wax, it's not sticky. Using super glue is something that I am a massive fan of. You can not need it, or you can just use it. I think one of Kelly Gallup's videos, he was saying that, you know, for the first year or something with fly tying, you shouldn't use super glue. And I really, young and impressionable, this is why I have a problem with the jerk strip and people getting on my boat thinking that they're the second coming, the third, the most recent coming of streamer Jesus. Because they have one, it's like someone who watches Fox News or someone who watches CNBC. You like that? It's like, yeah, I mean, if you're only getting your information from one source, then that is going to be the most important thing. So yes, young, impressionable in my career. And no hate, Kelly Gallup. It's just anglers who don't branch out and only subscribe, quite literally, like on social media. But in their fishing, we're going to put on legs. In their fishing to one theory, and that's the right one, and nothing else is good, you just end up limiting yourself. You can't jerk strip your way into a 40-pound snook. Well, you can, but it's not going to result in the fish in the boat. Game changers, I mean, musky fishing. Now with the super glue thing, it does, to not use super glue does force you to, and his, you know, I mean, dude, again, no hate to that guy, because I have expressed on more than one occasion that I'm not really going to be able to appropriately express gratitude. It doesn't happen on text or social media or anything, but seeing him in person. So whenever that happens. But the no super glue thing, especially tying nymphs, you know, for the first year or two, I think that's a good idea. You shouldn't rely on it. It becomes a crutch, and when you lean on your crutch too much, you start to develop a gimp the other way, or, you know, you got blisters and a rash forming under where you've wrapped you've duct taped an old rag around the support thing of your crutch, and now we have lots of different problems. You're probably not showering at that point. You could develop sepsis and end up in the hospital. And now you're dead. All of a sudden, it's like, damn. I just wanted to have a creative outlet. Should have listened. But you didn't. You stuck with one thing. You only did one thing. You didn't branch out. I'm not saying if you watch Fox to watch CNBC. I'm not saying, which none of you do. I don't think any of you watch anything. It's just absorbing content through, I mean, heck, half of you are probably barely listening to this, sort of, and reading about something that you already kind of believe, as long as it's written in a way that's entertaining to you. So what's the point of any of it anyways? Man, I got into oh yeah, thinking about Trump got shot yesterday. Breaking news. I was just like, oh, I don't know what's going on there. But then going through the different, like, outside of, it was legitimately a person that was shooting him. Going through different what ifs, and then just getting to the fact that it's like, well, yeah, was the election stolen? Dude, at this point, like, unless it's just so crazy how big this is one of these existential, it's so crazy how big this world is, and with technology these days, but for real, this is just the butts and some of the fluff in a dubbing loop, and I'm going to get this pretty toy, like a toiger. Like, unless I'm sitting down and I, like, next to a human that I touch, and I'm, like, for, like, 2 seconds, sort of an uncomfortably long, like a handshake that you're like, oh, God, just let go, or tighten up the grip or loosen it. This middle ground is not comfortable. Unless I have that experience and see them write something with their hands, what's even real anyways? I did have that thought, though, of like, holy shit, is all of it? What does any of it matter? The answer is probably some of it. Where's it going? Trump got shot. I don't know. I think one of the existential crises is an understatement or underestimation of just the volume of people that are... Look, if you're interested in fly tying, or gosh, I don't know, if you're interested in anything, I think you're probably doing a lot better than... And this is where it gets crazy, because I'm going to say you're doing a lot better than a lot of people. What does a lot of people mean? I think it might mean like tens and tens of millions, or dozens of millions, or 100. Are you doing better than 100 million people, even if you're not doing that great? Looking at you, I think the answer is yes. Yeah, you're probably doing better than 100 million people. There's probably 100 million people just in this country that are, compared to you, doing very, very bad. They're just drunk, buying shit with credit cards, don't know anything about nothing, work at a job they don't like, in a marriage that's unfulfilling. I mean, can it even be unfulfilling if you don't have much going on that needs to be fulfilled? That's what I'm saying. Like, all of a sudden, you can start spinning out pretty hard on a lot of this stuff, and sometimes you just want to sit down on the toilet, get a little entertainment to break up your day, and just hope that whoever is providing that entertainment doesn't remind you of the it's not just the weight of what you have in front of you in the next day, which is crippling. Let's be honest. It's the volume. It's the volume of the number of conversations you want, that you need to have in order to do certain things, the number of interactions that you're forced to have, the number of things needed. And again, I'm not trying to cause dread, but you're not going to get any of it done. And the more you sit here and absorb this, the less you're going to do, which is great. Feed the beast. Keep the... I wonder if this is bad for me at a certain point. Keep the cog. Be a cog in the machine. Oil that machine up. Make sure she's running like a scalded dog. Don't worry about getting any of it done, you know? Oh yeah, this is my... I did get myself with the guided meditation that that just devolves into random attacks on your conscience and character. Which, again, if you are in need of guided meditation, it's a guided meditation to reduce anxiety and help you fall asleep, and then you just end up getting beat on. I'm not saying you need to think about all this stuff while you're sitting there, kind of sweaty, trying to not think about any of this stuff. You don't need to. Escape. Buy some stuff, you know? That's what you're doing anyways. You're sitting here listening to this, considering what to buy, and then when you consider what to buy, you say, well, website from a small business, I'm going to look up this product on Amazon. And then it's the same product, same price, maybe even a little more expensive, but you get 2 days shipping, which is free. You pay for it. And so all of a sudden you pay that. Because you're getting it the next day, and you need to order some other stuff. Because look, you're not, as much as you say, I will get this at the hardware store that is just down the road the next time I pass it, you haven't done it in the last like 6 days. You've passed that place every single time. I'll get it at CVS the next time I'm there. No, you won't. I'll get it at Ace Hardware the next time I'm there. No, you won't. I'll remember to get this at the grocery store, even though I don't typically get it, because all I get is Cheez-Its and ice cream. You're not going to remember to get baking soda. So just order all of it from Amazon. Fuck that small business. Fuck the small American business that actually made it. Get it from the what they amount to shipping company, like intermediaries, or click the first link on that comes up from eBay or Etsy. You know what's exciting about tying flies after talking and tying flies is that when I put headphones on and just rip, boy oh boy, things go quickly. I am going to pretty this head up just a little bit. This is one of the first flies that I had a bunch, and I had tied them and just, you know, tie them, don't do any of the head, toss it to the side, and then do all the heads at once with a brush. Just like standardizing, you like build in some of these. This is why the place in Kenya, like the flies are probably good. They probably are quality fishing flies for fly fishing. Streamers and wets and bust bags. Because you like the human brain gets trained. We're all just dogs. What's the reward? Food on the table. How does that happen? By doing this. You do more of it and you get better at it. So I had a bunch of these, and my daughter came in, she's probably 2, and she's watching me do this. Oh, she comes in. Oh, can I brush it? Yeah. And then you give it a little haircut. That's it though, man. I mean, you could. All this collapses, and any of the loose fibers will pull out. I am gonna hit these bottom thread wraps with a little bit of bone dry. And yeah, so before the country collapses, come fish with me at elliswardflies.com. You can find a newly uploaded and vast selection of merch. I might save that clip for when that's actually true. It's not. I am hoping to get. This is where I annoy myself. I'm not really hoping for. If I wanted to get a bunch of shirts and sell them, I've had conversations with clients, family members, friends who are like, we would support you with these shirts with my Times New Roman. Hey Aaron, design me a font, I'll pay you money. It's the first time I've said that to him. If he's watching this, he's probably not, in 4 months. Yeah, with my logo and Times New Roman font. Bruh. Come on. Come on. Come on. Right? Come on. Yeah, I'm not going to hope for that. I'll let you know. I'll do some more stickers. I do want to. It's just that other things become more important very quickly. So it's all about priorities. Isn't that right? I'm not sure if this is going to be in front of, behind. It's not going to be at the same time as some musky fishing content. But either way, I'll see you next time. Enjoy yourself in the meantime, really. Try to enjoy yourself. Try to, God, peel yourself off that toilet seat. Just press buy. You're gonna fucking buy it anyways. Like, it's not today probably, but in the next week or two, you're gonna buy that thing. And This is a somewhat distant relative had said, we'll say acquaintance. It was indirect. This is never going to get back to me or him. But in talking about flights in 6 months, his financial advice, it's like, I don't know if I want to pay $500 right now. It's just a tough pill to swallow. And his financial advice was, well, if you just buy it now, in 6 months, you'll have plane tickets and you won't remember spending this money. So that's bomb-proof. And I think if you just extrapolate that out into perpetuity, you can have a bunch of stuff and never really have spent the money in the first place. So get started on that. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to this channel. That's a Clinton. Likes might be important too. I should do some research. But here's the thing, right now I want to go pound some fish and get my girlfriend to jump on board with an idea that I have. Stay tuned, or don't.